Most college admissions content acts like the only question is whether you're good enough for the school. But that's the wrong question. The right question is whether the school is good enough for you. I don't mean that as a swagger move. I mean it literally. A school that doesn't fit what you actually need from the next 4 years isn't a reach you should be desperate to attend. Instead, it's a mismatch you'll feel every day of freshman year. The acceptance letter won't fix that. Fit isn't about being impressive. Fit is about being clear. Clear on what you actually need and clear on what schools can deliver it. This week, we build that clarity. And then we cover something most admissions content glosses over completely. How you actually communicate to a school that you're serious about them without performing or groveling. Hi, I'm Dr. Heather Case. Welcome to week 8 of From Stressed Out to Standout. We've spent 7 weeks building the inside of your application, who you are, what shapes you, what you love, what you want to contribute. This week, we start turning outward, not toward every school in the U.S., toward the specific kinds of environments where the person you've been describing and are becoming can actually thrive. Think of fit the way you'd think about a plant. A plant doesn't grow because of the pot it's in. It grows because of its environment. The light, the water, the soil, the space. Put the right plant in the wrong environment and it'll survive, but it won't thrive. There's a difference. Same with you in a college. There are 4 dimensions of fit that matter, and most students and most families only think seriously about one of them. So let's start with that one. Academic fit. Are there professors, programs, research opportunities that match what you actually want to study? Are the classes the size where you learn best? Is there flexibility to change direction if you change your mind? Because you might. Not every college has every program at depth. This dimension matters, and it's worth researching specifically. 2, social fit, the culture, the vibe. Will you find your people there? Is the campus party heavy, or is it weekends in the library? Is it residential or largely commuter, urban, suburban, rural, close-knit or sprawling campus? There's no wrong answer to any of these, only answers that might be wrong for you. And you have to actually know your answers before you can evaluate a school. 3, emotional fit. Does this campus actually take care of its students when things get hard? What does mental health support look like? What happens when a student's struggling at 3 o'clock in the morning? To find this, you need to look in places like the student newspaper, in online forums, or talk to students that attend the school. You won't find it in the admissions brochure because those always say that everyone is thriving. 4 is financial fit. Can you and your family actually afford this school without excessive loans that will define what you can and can't do in your 20s and maybe even into your 30s? This is the dimension that families push off the longest, and it's often the most consequential. We'll go deep on financial fit in week 11, but any college list that doesn't include money as a real variable is an incomplete list. Most students lock onto academic fit, sometimes just prestige, which isn't the same thing, and they ignore the other 3. The result is an acceptance letter that feels great in April and a freshman year that feels awful by November. I've watched this happen, and it is so discouraging for the student. Let me tell you about a student I'll call Hana. Hana is a 3rd-generation Japanese American. Her older sister went to Stanford. Her sister is now in medical school. And from the time Hana was in 8th grade, every adult in her life, parents, teachers, relatives, her school counselor, they all assumed she would follow her sister's path. She had the numbers to do it too. A 3.9 GPA, strong test scores, a sibling who was at Stanford, activities that told a coherent story, all preparing her for the Stanford trek. But when we sat down together and I asked her to describe her ideal day at college, not the impressive version, the actual version, she described something that didn't sound like Stanford. She was describing small classes where she actually knew the professor. A residential community where the same people ate dinner together on weekdays. The ocean nearby. She loved marine biology and she wanted to study it at a deeper level. She also wanted time to write fiction. She'd been writing short stories since middle school and she didn't want that part of herself to disappear. She was looking for a campus where students were taken care of, not just admitted from a distance. That description isn't a giant research university. That's a small liberal arts college. And there are outstanding ones that fit every single item on that list. Hannah's family was surprised when she told them. Her parents had been mentally planning for Stanford for 10 years. It took a few conversations, but here's the reframe that helped them. She wasn't lowering her sights or her standards. She was aiming more carefully. She applied to Bowdoin, Williams, Bates, Reed, and a few other liberal arts colleges. She got into 3 of them, and she chose Bowdoin. 2 years in, she's writing for the campus literary magazine, working with a professor on a marine biology research project, and her words, she actually has the time and space to rest when she needs it. She said she didn't know that feeling rested was an option. That's what fit looks like when it's honest. Now, the part most admissions guides either skip or bury in the footnotes. Once you know which schools fit you, you have to actually tell them, not by sending gifts, not by writing 20 emails, by showing up in small, specific, real ways. This is called demonstrated interest, and at many schools, it actually affects whether you're admitted. Here's how to know if a school tracks it. Search the school's name plus common data set. Every school publishes one annually. Find section C7. It's a list of admission factors with check marks. Look for level of applicant's interest. If it's marked as important or considered, they're tracking demonstrated interest. The most selective schools like Harvard, Stanford, MIT, typically they don't track demonstrated interest because they have more applicants than they can ever admit. But most liberal arts colleges do. Many mid-sized private universities do too. Here's what actually counts toward demonstrated interest. Officially sign in for visits, virtual or in person. Don't just watch their YouTube tour unregistered. Get your name on the list. Sign up for their email list and actually open the emails. Some schools track open rates. All of them track who requests information. Follow their official admissions social media account, and if something genuinely interests you, engage thoughtfully. One real comment is worth more than 100 empty likes. Talk to their representative when they visit your high school or attend a college fair. Introduce yourself and ask one real question. And be sure to write your name down on the sign-in sheet. And write an authentic, school-specific Why Us supplemental essay when you apply. We'll cover the mechanics of that in week 20. This is also where early decision and early action become relevant. Applying early decision, which is legally binding, is the single most powerful signal of interest a school can receive. It statistically improves your odds at most schools that offer it, sometimes significantly. We'll cover the full strategy and the legal and financial implications of early decision in week 15. Let's talk about what doesn't count. Gifts, repeated status check emails, performative social media activity that's clearly just for optics. Admissions officers have been doing this for years. They can tell the difference between a student who is genuinely interested and one who's engineering the appearance of interest. Now, if you're a parent watching this with your student or on your own, one note for you this week too. When your child says they're interested in a school you've never even heard of, or chooses to step back from a school you've been mentally planning for, it can feel like they're aiming lower. But I want to offer you a different way to hold that. A more famous school is not the same as a better fit. The most important factor in whether a student succeeds in college actually isn't prestige. It's whether they feel like they belong there once they arrive. That sense of belonging shows up in retention rates, mental health outcomes, graduation rates, and long-term career satisfaction. The research on this is not subtle. Your job in this process isn't to vet whether the schools are impressive enough. Your job is to stay curious about why your student is drawn to a specific school. What is it about the environment that feels right to them? The why is the data. The name on the sweatshirt is not. Trust the why. Okay, for students, 3 things this week. 1, open your journal, write the 4 fit dimensions, 1 in each corner: academic, social, emotional, financial. For each one, write 3 honest sentences about what you actually need, not what sounds impressive or low maintenance. What would genuinely make your life better for 4 years? 2, pick 3 to 5 colleges you've been thinking about. For each one, look up their common data set, section C7. Check out whether level of applicants' interest is marked, note it, and save the list. This takes 15 minutes and tells you where your effort on demonstrated interest is actually worth something. And 3, pick 1 school from that list and do 1 demonstrated interest action this week. Sign up for their email list, schedule a virtual visit with your name officially in the system, follow their admissions account, ask 1 real question of their rep if there's an opportunity to do that in person or via email this week. 1 action, 1 school. That is enough to start. Before we close, if a school doesn't recognize you when you apply, if you do everything right and they still say no, that is information. It's not a verdict on you. Information about alignment, about timing, about what they were building for that particular year. A no from a school that wasn't actually the right fit is not a loss. It's a course correction. And it's important to understand that fit is mutual. The school is choosing you, and you are choosing the school. Both halves of that conversation deserve equal care. Make sure both are happening. Next week, week 9, we widen the map considerably. There are over 4,000 colleges in this country. Most students have heard of about 40. The right school for you is statistically very likely to be in the other part of the 4,000. Next week, we're going to introduce you to the full landscape, and you might be surprised what you find there. So subscribe, and I'll see you next week. But before you go, I want to remind you of something very important. You are so much more than your application. Your worth isn't measured by acceptance letters or rejection emails. I want you to know that your story matters. Tell it honestly, tell it bravely, and know that I am always here cheering you on. See you next week.